Alrighty, we are back another week, another pregame show. This week, the Saints are facing off against the Giants. Giants are having a rough season as well. They're a little revitalized by the Tommy DeVito, I think third string quarterback. I don't really know what he was, to be honest with you, but he's there. He's given them some hope, and sometimes that's all a fan base needs. Either way, the Saints going in still relatively unhealthy. A lot of things going on. It was confirmed recently that Chris Olave is going to be out. Kendrick Miller is still out. Isaiah Foskey is still out. Two rookies that we drafted this year just haven't seen the field a lot. It's relatively, unfortunate. But as I said, Olave was, did not participate, did not practice the whole week. And just recently, he was determined to be out. A lot of full participants later in the week: Andrews Pete, Taysom Hill, Ramczyk. All those guys are going in with unspecified status into the game. So we'll see, game time decisions. And as well, despite Peyton Turner being designated for return, he is listed as out. Other than that, on the other side, we have the Giants. They have a couple of guys who were listed as questionable and doubtful. Some hurt on the offensive line, offensive tackle Evan Neal, their cornerback Cordell Flott. These guys were both listed as, kind of questionable coming in. Game time decisions, updates on that. They were limited participants in the last practice where reporting was required going into the game. But we got some injuries on both sides, but it's the Saints on defense especially have really had a next man up mentality. So with Michael Thomas being out, Chris Olave being out, I'm hoping to see a big game from rookie A.T. Perry. And now the Saints have realized that Jimmy Graham is an offensive threat, and he always has been, always will be. As long as he's healthy and fast enough to play football, he's going to be an offensive threat and a red zone threat, which is what we needed. So for the Saints to kind of sit him, just kind of not playing him for whatever reason, I won't kind of quite understand. But hopefully the Saints learn their lesson there. Use Taysom, use Jimmy Graham, use those guys who are supposed to be there in the red zone. Put the ball in your stars' hands. They've done that recently with A.K. Alvin Kamara, and he's really shown why he's, one of the best in the league to do it. So that's good to see that they're learning. It's been a long season. We're at week 15, just a couple more weeks left, and we're still kind of in the thick of everything as far as the NFL goes. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how these next couple of weeks play out. And we it doesn't feel like we should be in playoff contention, but here we are. It's week 15. The Saints went out, and I feel like they're in, right? And we play the Bucs again in 2 weeks, I believe, and we play the Falcons the very last week of the season, I believe. So it's just one of those things where you win and you're in, and that's something that the Saints really desperately need to do, is just win, give this fan base a little more desire, hope, and things like that going into the offseason. I think no matter what happens, even if the Saints make the playoffs, the Saints fans are probably not going to be looking forward too much to the offseason, because I think Saints fans, probably feel that the Saints will not make the changes that Saints fans want to see. And that's another reason these 3 weeks are crucial. If they put something together, they look efficient, they look nice, they're going to run it back. There's no question. If things just get embarrassing, if things just get bad, maybe we'll see some changes. Who knows? But as of right now, I don't foresee any of that happening. But jumping back into the actual Saints talk in this week, again, we have the Giants, and then you have Tampa playing Green Bay. Green Bay still playing for something, because if Green Bay wins today, it feels good, essentially, and then You have Atlanta playing Carolina. Carolina could do us a favor, but I don't foresee them doing us a favor. The good thing is divisional games are always competitive. So we'll see what Atlanta and Carolina decides to do. Atlanta could be Atlanta and drop the ball, and Carolina could be Carolina and surprise some people, or just not play very good, which is unfortunate. But we need them to play good, but we'll see. As far as that goes, the division is completely locked up at 6-7. Tampa, Atlanta, Saints, all 6-7. At this point, Carolina is completely eliminated. The only team around the league who's clinched a playoff spot so far is the San Francisco 49ers. I said earlier in the season, I feel like this is the 49ers year. They just look really good. And then Dallas and Philadelphia both being 10-3 in their division. One of those teams is going to get a wild card slot, and one of those is going to get a first round bye, just based on, I guess Detroit could give them some competition there, but either way, those teams are more than likely in the playoffs, barring any crazy, win streak and loss streak by both that team. And maybe like the Vikings or something like that in the NFC. So pictures clearing up for the NFC South. Again, Saints are tied with both Tampa and Atlanta for first, second, third place, whatever you want to call it. The race to the bottom is what it feels like at this point, because it's going to take one loss by any of these teams at this point to really derail the rest of the season for them. So Tampa again plays Green Bay and Atlanta plays Carolina. So I don't think we're going to get any help this week. We'll see. Time will tell there. But we can always hope. We can always see what kind of game Green Bay has, see what team Carolina comes out with, and go from there as far as what the division looks like after today, essentially. So we'll see how that goes. The Tampa Bay game is at noon, same time, and the Carolina Atlanta game is at noon as well. So we'll have a crystal clear picture of what's going on with the Saints at around 3:30 when we do the post-game show. So make sure you tune in for that. We're going to kind of jump into some anytime touchdown score things. So for the Saints game, I'm just going to go Alvin Kamara. It's like an easy one. It feels like, with Olave being out, he's going to be used more outside of the backfield. You also have Jamal Williams, who is questionable. I'm not sure his game time designation is going to come out. But even if Jamal Williams is playing, they don't really use him as much as I'd like to see them use them in situations, red zone and stuff like that. But either way, Alvin Kamara feels like a safe bet for the anytime touchdown score for the Saints game. And then kind of an unsafe bet for the Saints game. I kind of like A.T. Perry's odds to get a touchdown. He's shown some flashes. He's shown he's not afraid to go after the ball. He's a big body. He's at like plus 550 on some of the best ones. FanDuel, he's plus 550, which is, put $5 on him, see what happens. Other than that, I don't know. Taysom Hill is always a threat, but I like AK. I like A.T. Perry. Those two guys feel like they are good options for the Saints game itself. And then jumping into kind of around the league, I kind of like Tony Pollard, this week for anytime touchdown score. He's on a fantasy team, so I'd love to see him get a touchdown. However, they're going up against a Buffalo defense that's kind of been all over the place this season. So I feel like if Dallas can kind of hit Buffalo early and keep it rolling, you're going to see a lot of Tony Pollard action. So that's why I like Tony Pollard for anytime touchdown score outside of the Saints game. But other than that, Saints at noon, Panthers, Atlanta at noon, Tampa and Green Bay at noon. Green Bay 6-7, just like Tampa, still playing for a little bit of something. And then I'm just going to pick a game like we always do, one that I'm interested in seeing. I already said it, Dallas, Buffalo. Buffalo has been an interesting team. I don't really know what's going on over there. So that feels like a fun game. You never know what's going to happen with that. Dallas could put up 50 points. We could have another Scorigami, that's been pretty fun to see this year between happening to Sean Payton over there in Denver. And then I don't know if it happened the other night with the Raiders Chargers game, but that was a pretty ugly score. But I don't know if it was the scoregami moment. But Dallas Buffalo is the game that I'm going to be watching outside of the Saints game, and of course I'm going to keep my eye on the Atlanta Carolina game and the Tampa and Green Bay game. So again, this is Ethan Myers with the Know. This has been the show to get you in the know. Saints pregame. Saints kick off at noon, and we'll be back at 3:30 for the post game show. So make sure you tune in.